There are moments in life that interrupt the ordinary, not with noise, but with silence. You lock eyes with someone, and something wordless moves inside you. It's not attraction in the way the world often defines it, not adrenaline or fantasy. It's a stillness, like a long forgotten memory surfacing all at once. You don't know them, but your soul pauses, as if recognizing its own echo reflected in another. You weren't searching, you weren't prepared, yet something ancient opens in you without effort. Carl Jung often spoke of this experience not as fate, but as meaning that rises from the unconscious. He believed that what feels destined is not random, but a symbolic alignment between what lies buried within you and the outer world. When you encounter someone who seems inexplicably significant, it isn't chance. It is a mirror, life reflecting the state of your psyche, whispering, "This is important. Don't look away." Our culture tends to teach us that life is built on accidents, statistics, and coincidence. But Jung proposed something far more mysterious: synchronicity, a meaningful pattern connecting our inner world with outer events. You think of someone, and they appear. You take a different route home, and meet someone who reshapes your understanding of love. These are not logical sequences. These are soul moments, messages from the deep. Synchronicity, Jung explained, isn't about linear cause and effect. It's not about prediction or manipulation. It's about resonance. It's as if something sacred within you is reaching out and life, or perhaps the self, responds. These events don't happen to convince you. They happen to awaken you. They signal that something deeper is unfolding. They ask you to notice, to feel, to trust. When it comes to connection, romantic or otherwise, this kind of inner alignment can be overwhelming. You meet someone who doesn't just match your interests, but reflects your wounds, your longings, your evolution. They're not always easy. They're not always forever, but they often arrive when you are quietly becoming ready. Not ready in the surface sense, but in the soul sense, when your unconscious has stirred enough to call them into view. Jung believed that love, real love, isn't a quest for completion. It's a mirror, and those we are drawn to most powerfully often represent parts of ourselves we've yet to meet. We may see them as mysterious, magnetic, or meant, but often what we're responding to is our own unlived potential reflected in their presence. The ones who stir us deeply are rarely accidents. They are catalysts. Inside every soul, Jung taught, lives an inner image, a sacred counterpart. For men, this is the anima, the feminine spirit, embodying intuition, creativity, and emotion. For women, it is the animus, the inner masculine, carrying will, direction, and logic. These images are not literal genders. They are psychic energies, aspects of the self, longing to be integrated. And they guide whom we feel drawn to, often in unconscious but unmistakable ways. When someone feels like home, when you can't explain why you're captivated, it may be your inner world projecting onto them. But this doesn't make it false. It makes it important, because what you see in them may be the very qualities your soul is seeking to awaken in you. Their presence calls you into balance, into wholeness. And so, the people who stir something wordless in us may not be meant to complete us, but to reveal us, to awaken the forgotten corners of our psyche, to draw our own inner figures out of the shadows and into the light. You are not just falling for another. You are falling inward into the truth of who you are becoming. Real connection, through the lens of Jung, is not about perfection or compatibility. It is about transformation. When someone is truly meant for you, it won't feel like striving. It will feel like remembering, as if, through them, you are being reintroduced to yourself. Not the version you've shown the world, but the one who's been waiting patiently beneath the surface. There are some souls whose presence quiets the noise inside you. You don't need to explain your story. You don't feel the urge to impress. You simply exist in their space, and it feels like peace. Not because they fix something, but because they reflect something. It's as though your inner world finds resonance in their silence. Jung would call this not fantasy, but the unconscious rising, a sacred recognition between two inner landscapes meeting. He often spoke of archetypes, timeless images and energies that live in the collective unconscious. These symbols aren't just stories. They're templates that shape how we experience life, love, and identity. When someone evokes a sudden, powerful response in you, they may be activating an archetype long buried. They stir something mythic, not because of who they are in the outer sense, but because of what they awaken in the inner world, the symbolic memory of your soul. This is why we sometimes feel as if we've known someone forever, even if we've only shared a few words. Why time bends around certain people. Why silence with them doesn't feel empty. It feels full. You aren't meeting a stranger. You're encountering a symbol, an echo, a mirror reflecting back to you the forgotten notes of your own song. There are people who walk into our lives like turning points. They don't arrive with grand gestures or declarations. Sometimes they just appear, and everything shifts. They may not stay forever. They may not even understand what they've stirred in you. But they mark you, not with their presence, but with what you become in their wake. These are the soul disruptors, the messengers, the initiators of your next becoming. And often, the impact of their presence doesn't fully reveal itself until they are gone. That's the paradox. The most important people aren't always the ones who remain. They are the ones who change the trajectory of your inner world. Jung never romanticized love as a permanent solution. He saw it as a vessel, a crucible for growth, conflict, healing, and eventual integration. The purpose was never perfection. It was always individuation, the journey to becoming whole. We say, if it's meant to be, it will be, as if destiny were a fixed map. But Jung would ask, what inner force is drawing you toward this person? What part of your unconscious is seeking recognition through them? The soul's path isn't linear. It spirals. It returns to its own wounds and transforms them through encounter. Meant to be doesn't always mean meant to stay. Sometimes it means meant to awaken. When a person is truly aligned with your soul's evolution, they don't arrive to complete you. They arrive to reveal the shadows you've avoided and the gifts you've forgotten. They press on your fears, yes, but also on your longing. They challenge the masks you've worn and invite the self to emerge, raw, imperfect. And that is the quiet miracle of real connection. It strips away the performance. It says, you don't have to be anything here. Just be. And in that being, in that moment of deep psychological resonance, something within you shifts. It's not loud, it's not always happy, but it's true. And in the Jungian world, truth is the seed of transformation. Not every sacred meeting is a love story. Some are bridges, some are mirrors, some are storms. But each one, when met with awareness, leaves a mark that shapes who we are becoming. They remind us that connection is not about possession. It is about seeing clearly, painfully, beautifully, what lies within ourselves, waiting to be known. So, if you've met someone who stirred something in you that you couldn't name, pause. Listen, not to your mind, but to the quiet rhythm beneath it. The place where symbols live. The place where your deeper self speaks not in language, but in resonance. Because in that space there is no need to chase, no need to label, only the unfolding, the sacred knowing. And in that knowing, you are already home.